from what I've seen, I mean, even at the varsity level, like the spin moves, because these kids are really good at it, it gets missed a lot. But at the lower levels, I don't know if it's just a misunderstanding or being afraid to blow your whistle or what it is, but it seems as though they miss them all.
I think they miss them all for whatever reason.
Maybe you can make them watch this video. The next time you watch your kids, you bring down the video to them.
I think that's it. If they saw the slow-mo on the video instead of real time, I think they would be convinced that, I think they're leaning that way, and they give them the benefit of doubt when it's not even close.
I think it's just so natural that it looks fine. It's like a natural move, and they're not really focusing on where they pick up the ball, and the pivot foot.
Well, and to be fair, the game of basketball has evolved quite a bit, and that has just become an acceptable move. It doesn't make it legal, but everyone just kind of lets it go. And I think it starts from the NBA and trickles down.
Oh, yeah. With everyone on Twitter talking about, gather steps and all this other stuff that doesn't apply to what 90% or 99% of the kids out there that are actually playing the game.
Totally. And in the NBA, they've got rules that allow that kind of stuff. And people just assume basketball rules are the same regardless. It's just that you've got better players at the higher level. But obviously, as officials, we know that it's different.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. We are talking about traveling today, specifically focusing on the spin move, the Eurostep, and the jumpstop. I think we've done some of this in the past. I don't know if I've dedicated a meeting to it or if I've done it in clinics. So some of these clips may be repeat that I've showed before, and I've tried to get new ones. But we're going to look at some that are marked up. We're going to look at some that are not marked up to see if we then can identify whether it's a travel or not. And I think I marked most of them, but there's a couple where they're just really close. And I kind of, curious as to how everybody sees them. So let's go ahead and get started with traveling. And for those that are watching on YouTube, subscribe. All right. I know everyone on this meeting's already subscribed. Let's pull up our first video of the spin move.
Points, but he doesn't need that many when McEwen has 14 in the first quarter. And good move inside, and we have a walk.
Right. Official calls a travel. What did you guys think? Watching it real time.
That's a travel.
Agree.
Look good.
I got a travel, Josh.
Travel.
And good move inside, and we have a walk.
This is a classic spin move, and I have to play it here because what we're looking for, as you see the player dribbling in, and spin moves are usually dribbling players that go toward the basket, usually around the post, but that's usually where you're going to see it. It's a moving player who is dribbling the ball. That's usually how spin moves work. As this player comes down, what's the first thing we look for in traveling? Does anybody know?
Pivot foot.
Yes, and how do we determine if there's a pivot foot? Well,
when he gathers the ball.
Okay, that's a good answer. But in high school basketball, there is no mention of the gather. Now, the gather can be used to reference lots of things within the rules book, but for traveling, it's very clear. And I just want to read it. It says, traveling is moving a foot or feet in any direction in excess of prescribed limits while holding the ball. And then it says that they list all the things that you can and can't do. Okay, so you cannot travel unless you are holding the ball. So the first thing we need to look for when we're determining whether a player travels or not is, are they holding the ball? Correct? And I think right here, you can hold the ball with one hand, right? You can hold the ball with two hands. I usually like to look for a two-handed hold off of a dribble because sometimes one hand starts to cup the ball and it's still bouncing and they're not really holding it yet. But when they have it with two hands, they definitely are holding the ball, right? So let's say this right here. Can we all agree that this player is holding the ball?
Yes.
All right, so the player is holding the ball here, and they have 1, 2, or no feet on the floor,
Looks like one.
right? The right foot is on the floor. Technically, the way the rule is written, it's not a pivot until the left foot comes down in a step. But for all intents and purposes, I'm not going to continue to say that all night. For all intents and purposes, the right foot is the pivot foot. Yes?
Yes.
All right, so he makes a nice move to the basket and picks his pivot foot up, which is a travel, right?
No.
It comes down.
No.
No, it's not.
Not until it comes down.
That's right. So in basketball, and I've said this before, but I generally in life do not like to use absolutes. I never say never. I never say always, or I try to avoid it. But in basketball, you can always pick up your pivot foot. There is never a reason that the player cannot pick up their pivot foot. Okay? What they do after they pick that pivot foot up will determine whether there's a violation or not, but they're always allowed to pick the pivot foot up. So right now, we've got a legal play, yes?
So far.
Agreed.
And then he puts that foot back down. Once the pivot foot comes to the floor, it's a traveling violation, right?
Right.
Right.
Okay. Now, I go through all of that just to set the stage on the pivot foot. Okay, we got a foul call, a foul on the play. But obviously, this is not a meeting about fouls. It's a meeting about travels, right? So did he travel before the foul? Let's take a look. What do you guys think? Did he travel? Let's ignore the foul and the contact first. Let's not even act like he got act like he got hit. No contact at all. Here's a better angle so we can see the feet. Okay, so he's holding the ball here. Do we agree he catches the ball here?
Yes.
And that's the first thing that we need to notice. And this all has to be done with a fraction of a second. We have to notice, is he catching the ball? Is he holding the ball? And then how many feet are touching the floor?
One.
He spins, which is legal, right? So far, so good. But then brings it back down to the floor. Now, the advantage that is gained by this is he's allowed to get a good jump, a good hop, whatever you want to call it, off the floor to shoot that ball, right? So that's why it's traveling. He spins around his player. Yes, he's still met with the defender there, but then he gets the foot down and he jumps up. Now, the question is on this, did the foul happen before the pivot foot came down, right? Because it's not a travel until his pivot foot comes down to the floor. If he's fouled before that pivot foot returns, then it's not a traveling, correct? All right, so he comes around. Here it goes. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a foul. But it's interesting, and I just wanted to ask you a question. Those feet, whose responsibility are the feet?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
You can see that the lead is looking straight at the lead who called the foul is looking straight at the torso, I guess, and above. But who's looking at the feet?
Well, let's talk about that. Yeah. So let me just finish this thought.
Okay.
He comes down. It's a step. I'm going to say that's a step. His foot comes down here. I would say his pivot foot is returned at this point. Do we agree to the best of our ability with this video?
Yeah, for sure.
And then it looks like after his foot comes down, then he gets hit.
Correct.
Now, it's super close. And I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt of the official who says, no, he got hit before he came down. Okay, that's fine. Shame on the defender for swinging and throwing his arms in there. But since we know he's spinning, we know most spins are illegal. We need to obviously identify what the pivot foot is. What we need to know then is there contact before the foot comes down or not. Who watches this? So where's the ball now?
The trail's position.
Trail.
Trail. Okay, so trail has the primary coverage of this play. Okay, now it goes over here, which is still trail, right? Although it's near the line, but trail still has it. Ball gets passed in. Where is it now?
Lead.
It's kind of iffy. Maybe trail. Trail still has it.
It's definitely not trail
It's lead.
because trail is the 3-point arc through to the free throw line to the other end, opposite of where he's standing, up to the division line. But the paint is split down the center between the center and the lead. So it could be the center. It could be the lead. Do we agree it's pretty close in the middle there?
Yeah, but
Correct.
it looks like the center has a little bit of an obstructed view with that player right there in front of him.
Right. So we as officials need to be aware of where the ball is and where the other players are in relation to what we can see. That a center should be moving, in my opinion, down based on what I can see here to get a little bit better look to come in because he really doesn't have much else to look at. Correct?
Right.
Right.
The trail probably is also looking at this because he's been watching this play move around the arc in his area all the way up to this pass here. Doesn't mean he should be looking right at it, but he's aware of the play. Ball comes down. Now it's coming definitely into the leads area. Do we agree?
Yes.
So the lead should have full focus on this. What is the trail looking at?
The guy's feet.
You should.
Does the trail need to pay attention to 25
No.
or the other guy in the corner?
No.
No, there's no competitive matchup there. If the ball gets kicked out there, yeah, he can pick it up real quick. He knows they're there. He's not ignoring that they're there, but he's probably still watching this play. And it's okay that he's watching this play. In my opinion, the trail should be coming down, closing down a bit so he can get a little bit better of an angle, a little bit closer. The lead doesn't see it. The trail can come in and get this.
So I guess
Okay.
the question is it a good practice as a trail and you have that activity, that action on the kind of the fringe of your area, focus on the feet? We don't want to be looking at the same thing the lead is looking at.
As trail,
Yeah.
trail is going to be looking because they're going to have a wider view, right? They're going to have a wider view. They're going to be able to see the feet. The lead is going to have a narrower view just because they're closer and they're looking for the contact of the shooter. So they are many times miss those travels. And it is 100% acceptable for a trail to come in on a play like that, out of their primary area, into the lead's primary to get a travel. Because the lead's not really, the lead, in my opinion, should be aware of the entire body, head to
And on a
toes.
double-
They should see the feet, but it's very easy for them to miss it.
And on a double whistle, are we deferring? Because you know how you get a double whistle or whatever. You see two things, or do we defer? You just drop your hand, or is that a point of discussion?
Okay, so good question. Double whistle. Let's say we've got one's got a foul, right?
Yep.
The other one has a violation because they say it's a travel.
Right.
That's not I'm going to let you take it because I know, let's say I'm the one who had the violation, that the travel happened before the contact for the foul. So I would blow them with a tweet, you run into your partner and talk about it. Not a big, long discussion, just, hey, I had a travel before that contact happened. And your partner should say, great, no problem. We'll go with your call, right? Because we're all on the same team. I'm not trying to show you up. I'm not going to come into you because I want to make the call and not give it to you. I'm coming in because I know that we shouldn't penalize that kid who fouled him because he traveled first. Right?
Got it.
Right.
Now, if your
Right.
partner says absolutely not, he was fouled first. Okay, now you got to decide, do you want to argue with your partner on the court about who's right or who's going to let it go? Then you have an issue where you got to do that. But most of the time, someone comes into you, you're going to change or let them take the call because the violation happened before. And that's a very easy sell to coaches.
Got it.
All right. Here's another spin move. Another foul on the play. Trail calls the foul. It's played fast again. Okay, first question I'm going to ask you. Remove the contact. Okay, no defender was in the way. Did the player travel or was it a legal spin move?
Travel.
He's holding the ball here, yes.
Yep.
Got 1 foot on the floor. His left foot, which is legal. Okay, he steps, picks up his pivot foot, which is okay, and then puts it back to the ground.
Travel. Yep.
Okay, that's 100% a travel. And I think playing it fast and play fast again, regular speed, I think that's easy to pick up, right? So we all saw that. So now is, did the foul occur before the travel happened?
Yes.
He's picking up his foot here, right?
Yep.
Looks like the foul happens here, or at least close to. Number 10 reaches in and hits his arm, and then he puts the foot down. So the correct call by the official here was a foul. Because even though he traveled, he got fouled. Everyone agree with that?
Yeah, good call.
Yep.
So not only do we need to be aware that he's spinning and he might travel, we need to be aware whether he gets hit. Now the question is, I've had this discussion many times with many people. If that ball goes in, are you counting it? Anyone?
Yes, because it was a move for a shot.
Okay, so he's definitely in the act of shooting, yes? He got fouled while he was in the act of shooting. Even though he's spinning, the rule says, the continuous motion rule says, you're allowed to finish any customary movement. So he was finishing. He got fouled in the act of shooting. So it's a shooting foul. But should we count the basket if it goes in?
Thanks,
I'd say no, only because he committed a foul during the act of shooting.
Okay, now if he gets fouled in the act of shooting, he's allowed to finish his motion
Okay, Mike.
and go up and shoot, right?
Well, let me restate
Yeah,
that.
No.
He committed a penalty during the act of shooting. He traveled.
He traveled.
So it wasn't a legal continuation.
Right. You
So
can't continue
once-
the act of shooting illegally.
All right, so the continuous motion rule says that you're allowed to finish your customary movement, right? Is traveling customary movement? No, it's illegal movement. So he's not allowed to do illegal movement to continue his shot. So once he travels, he doesn't get to score, but he's still fouled in the act of shooting. So he's going to get 2 shots.
So Josh, have you ever had that conversation with a coach? What do you say?
No. That would be a tough one. And if a coach would say, well, wait a second, how come he's shooting, but he scored the bucket? How come we don't get the 2 points? Coach, he traveled. He got fouled while he was shooting, but he traveled. So the shot doesn't count, but he's still going to get the 2 shots. And then walk away. If he doesn't like it, and if he's going to be nice and calm, I can stand there and talk to him while they're shooting the free throws and try and explain. But it's not something you're going to drive in a coach's, especially they're probably going to be not very happy, right? Because they didn't get their 2 points. It probably doesn't matter what you say, but all you got to just explain exactly what it is. No, he traveled, so the bucket doesn't count, but he still gets his 2 shots.
Yeah, that's
I bet the coach would argue that
Doesn't the ball become
the
dead?
foul caused him to travel.
yeah, that's just a tough conversation.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the foul caused him.
Yeah.
Foul caused him to travel. That's a fair point, Coach, but he still traveled. And you and I don't know if the foul caused it or not. So I'm going to give him 2 shots because he was shooting the ball. I'm still going to give him 2. I'm not going to say he doesn't get to shoot. He gets 2 shots.
So let me ask you a question. If the calling official who called it calls the foul, he doesn't notice that travel. It basically, it could be that he can get a 3-point play out of it if no other officials calling out the fact that there was a traveling
Yes. I mean, if the official counts it and you know that he traveled with the spin move, you're not going to go in and say, hold on, he traveled. You can't count that. It's the official's judgment. As far as we know, the official thinks that he didn't travel, right? And it's his call. He gets to make that determination.
Right.
So the ball doesn't become dead at the moment of his travel?
The ball does become dead, which is why you cannot count the basket.
Yeah,
but since he's fouled,
if it's a dead
since
ball,
he's fouled in the act of shooting,
right,
he gets 2 shots because it's a shooting foul.
I guess not to belabor the point. So, as a team, as partners, if we're probably not coming in to say something about that, right? Unless it's I don't know.
No, but you can talk about that at halftime or after the game. That's a good post-game conversation.
You know,
but definitely not on court during the game. Absolutely.
Right, right.
All right. We need a whole meeting on just one spin move. Let's move to a jump stop. I want to play a few of everything. All traveling plays come down to the pivot foot. You have to be able to identify the pivot foot. And then when you identify the pivot foot, you have to know what the player is allowed to do. All right. No call on this play. Was a no call correct? Was it a good jump stop? Or was it illegal?
Good move.
He's holding the ball here. Yes. Can we all agree?
Correct.
Does he have a foot on the ground or no feet on the ground?
He has 1 foot on the ground, his left foot.
Correct. He jumps off that foot, which is legal, and lands on both simultaneously. Right? Close enough. Maybe it wasn't exactly perfect, but it was pretty darn close. Do we agree with the simultaneous land?
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty close. All right, so simultaneously land. Then what can he do? Because that's still legal at this point, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
You can launch.
Can he pick his pivot foot back up?
No.
No.
Yes.
Yes, he can.
Right?
He just can't pivot off of it.
He just can't
I can't
pivot. And
pivot.
what is the
Okay,
definition
right.
of a pivot? A pivot is when one foot steps and the other foot lands. Therefore, it's a pivot. So if he can pick it up but doesn't put it down, it's still legal.
Right.
That means he can jump with both feet and shoot. He can pass. He can even call a timeout, I guess. But so that was a legal play. Everyone saw that, right? I think you all said it was legal when you saw it. He got a foul, but did he travel? What do you guys think? Yes or no?
Yep.
Yes.
A lot of footwork there, but did he travel?
Yes.
Yep.
2 hands on the ball and then a jump.
When does he travel? You tell me with this slow motion. You tell me when he travels. I'll stop it.
Right there.
Now. Now.
The last pivot? Or before that? Or was it the jump, the catch and the jump?
No, it's
That's legal.
there.
Now he travels.
Now he travels.
All right, let's see. Catches the ball. We definitely see him catching the ball. And both his feet are off the floor, right?
Right.
So if you catch the ball, if you're a moving player, which he is, you catch the ball with both feet off the floor, you can land on one or both, and they both have different things that you can do. But what does he do? Lands on one, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so what can he do now that he's landed on one? What could he do at this very moment?
He can do his jump.
He
He can jump off that foot
Yeah.
and then land or not land.
Land on 2 feet.
Land on 2 feet simultaneously, yes. He can also pivot using that foot, can he not? If he
True.
stops, he can start pivoting. So he's got a couple different options, but what does he do? All right, he actually jumps off the foot, and as we just said, he can land both simultaneously. So far, he's done everything perfectly.
Right.
Nothing to call here. But once he does that jump stop, even though it was I came down and on 1 foot and then I jumped on 2, that was considered as jump stop. Then you can no longer pivot.
Right.
You guys all got that right away too. I couldn't even fool you. All right, so the jump stop comes down to a moving player. When they catch the ball, they jump off of 1 foot and then they land on both simultaneously. Right? Yeah. It's possible for a jump stop to catch the ball with both feet in the air and land simultaneously. And then what can they do?
They can go up with both.
They can pivot using either foot. They can go up for a shot or a pass. But if they catch the ball with both feet in the air and they land with both feet simultaneously, they haven't established a pivot foot yet.
Right.
Okay, you don't see that very often, but that's why some jump stops get passed on, because if the kid does a really jump stop really well and he catches it while his feet are in the air and then they land, then he can pivot, that would be legal.
I actually see that one a lot. It's the one, when they're receiving the pass, some type of motion offense, and you'll see them, they'll jump right into it, they'll run and jump right into that catch. And then they try to do a quick start to do a change of direction, and that's where you see that switching of that pivot.
So let's watch this. And this is kind of goes to that point. I don't have it marked out, but just watch and let me know what you think. He jump stop and he pivots, and no official calls anything. I'm going to play it fast again, and then we'll slow it down and try and decipher what's going on. What do you think? Does he catch the ball with 1 foot on the floor, or is the ball still bouncing up? I try to go with the two-hand hold with both feet in the air. If we slow it down frame by frame, you'd probably say it looks like his foot's on the ground. But if you play at just regular speed, even this kind of speed, it's hard to see where exactly he catches the ball. Do we agree? Or did you see a jump stop easy on that?
But at the same time, he made a jump stop and he pivoted.
But if he catches the ball with his feet in the air, he's allowed to land simultaneously, which he does, and then pivot.
I don't know. That's tough.
I don't understand my point. Yes, it's close. And those are the ones that get us into trouble, because you called the last one a travel. What are you kidding? The coach sees the same play regardless as to what happens. We need to be better. We need to see that they caught it in the air or they caught it with 1 foot on the ground. But if we cannot tell, if we do not know, you can't call a violation. Because if he catches it in the air and you call a violation, you're really putting him at a disadvantage. Right? I think so. All right, let me do one more jump stop and then, well, no, we'll do a few more because I don't have many Eurostep. Official calls traveling. Traveling call at official. Let's play it fast again and then we'll slow it down. What do you guys think? Traveling or legal?
Legal.
I got a legal.
I got a legal.
Anyone else?
Fucking legal, but I'm sure you'll slow it down and we'll figure it out.
All right. Looks like he's holding the ball here. Yeah. I'm going to give him to here because I can't see from this point. But even if he's here, he's got 2 feet on the floor. But what is, in essence, is he doing?
Lunging.
He jumps off of 1 foot. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to split hairs on this and say he's got 1 foot on the floor while holding the ball. Okay? Lands simultaneously, does he not? Let's rewind it and it goes up. Lands simultaneously. I think that's pretty good.
Then he shoots it.
and then jumps straight up to shoot. I think that's legal.
I think 25 fouled him before he came down.
Well, yeah, honestly, I think I'd have a foul before I'd have a travel on that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, traveling violation. Played fast again. They give it to the player. Cutting over.
Walk.
Did he travel? Is that a good call or was it legal? He's a moving player, yes? Now, again, you can be holding the ball with one hand. Two's usually better for me, so I know for sure. But let's even say he's got a hold of the ball now. He's only got it with one hand. Let's say he's got it. Do we see 2 feet off the floor?
Yes.
And now that he's got 2 feet off the floor catching the ball, what can he do? He can land on both feet simultaneously or on one foot. And if it's 1 foot followed by another, the first foot that hits becomes the pivot foot, right? So he can land on both simultaneously or on 1 foot. What does he do? Yes, both feet are off the floor. Lands on one. Okay, then he jumps off that foot. This looks like just like the other play, right? That's a legal play, is it not?
Yes.
If you land on 1 foot with both feet in the air after you've caught the ball, you can jump off that foot and land on both simultaneously, which is what he does. That is a legal play. And then he can jump and shoot. All right, now, you could say, well, look, I think he's catching it right here. He's got 2 feet. If you are that good and you can really break it down that well, and you think he's holding the ball, okay, more power to you. But that looks very difficult to me to see when he's holding the ball and to when his feet are on the floor. It looks weird. But I think it is 100% legal. What do you all think?
Legal.
And this is why the jump stop is hard, because not every jump stop is I'm going to dribble in and I'm going to jump high in the air and land on 2 feet, right? Sometimes they get the ball and they catch it and their feet are in the air and they land on 1 foot and jump. And everyone in the gym thinks it's a travel because look at all the steps that he took and he has the ball. You can't do that. But the rules say that you can do that. We have to know when the ball was caught, when they're holding the ball, and when the pivot foot was established.
Hey, Josh.
Yeah.
I got a comment on that. You know, I think, in my opinion, of course, I think our job is to let these kids play, right? So, of course, we want to call it traveling. But if you have to watch that thing 3 times to think that that kid traveled, you shouldn't call it traveling.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying not get the spin move. I'm just saying if you're watching that play and we're watching and saying, oh my God, this kid moved his foot or he caught it with 2 feet. If you have to watch that you shouldn't be blowing your whistle because you want these kids to play basketball, not blow your whistle.
Right. So that kind of goes to what I had said earlier is if you don't know,
right.
To Tim's point, look, I had to watch this and that it's easy for me because I freeze frame it, right? And I circle it and I show you. But if you've got to do that to figure it out and see it, then don't call anything. The point is we do these so we can watch them all slow and freeze frame them. So then when you do watch it fast again, like, oh, hey, that play just moved slower for me this game than it did last game because I've seen 4 of them. And then the next game, you're going to be even better. Like, oh, I totally got that was easy for me. Right? Now,
agreed. I agree with that comment too.
Also, I do want to say traveling for me personally is probably the hardest call in basketball because the kids' feet move so fast. The ball is constantly coming in and out. I don't know when they're holding the ball, where their feet are. It's too hard for me to see it all. Block charge, a lot of people say block charge is the hardest. That's easier for me because I only have to watch the defender, right? You see the defender with the traveling, you got to see the low, you got to see the high, there's a lot to look at. So we shouldn't beat ourselves up for missing a lot of these, but it doesn't mean we should stop trying to get them. Watch this play. Tell me if you think it's a travel or a legal play. Mitchell calls it travel. Okay, but is he not a moving player? He's a moving player, right?
Yep.
Catches the ball here. Do we agree? Right foot is on the floor, so that's the pivot. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's allowed to jump off that foot, correct?
True.
But what must he do?
He's got to release the ball.
Land simultaneously. If he's going to land, he has to land simultaneously on both. Now, you could say his other foot touches the ground, so that could be simultaneous. Okay, so this could possibly be a legal play. But watching it fast, it looks like he jumps from one foot and lands on the other. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
That wasn't more of a hop kind of step. That looked like he jumped. He launched off his foot to go around the player. And if you jump off of your one foot that's touching, the rules are clear. It's not you can land on the other foot and go up. It's you can land on both feet simultaneously. Now, is that a loophole? I don't know. But it does not say jump off of one foot, land on the other. It's jump off of one foot, land on both simultaneously. So since he jumped on one and went to the other, that's traveling. Everybody see that?
Yes.
All right. That's one of the harder parts, again, of traveling is knowing, are they stepping, even though it's a bit of a hop, or are they jumping? And we have to make that judgment because it makes a difference as to what they can or can't do. All right. Let me move to some Eurostep. I don't have many Eurostep. And I've said this before, I think. In the NFHS, which is the rule set that we use, there isn't a true, honest-to-God Eurostep because a Eurostep comes from Europe, right? Eurostep. And in Europe, they use the FIBA rules. And in FIBA rules, it's like the NBA. They have a gather step. It's called a zero step. So they can literally gather the ball with a foot on the ground, and then they can take 1, 2, because the second one becomes the pivot, and then they can step on the other. And so the player can literally goes from one side to the other side to the other side. It's like a total zigzag, which is legal in FIBA when done properly. But we don't have that in the Federation. But I've got a couple that show kind of what kids are doing now. So just keep that in mind. Okay, it looks like the lead called a traveling violation. All right. What do you guys think? Traveling or legal?
Legal.
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 He grabs the ball. Okay, he dribbles in. Let's stop it here. Holding the ball here, yes? I think he is.
Yeah.
He's got his right foot on the ground, and he steps, and I know it's more of a hop. I get that. And you're not allowed to jump off the foot onto the other, but it's more of a stepping. It's more of a, less of a jump and more of a step. Do we agree with that?
Yes.
If you think he jumped off that foot, then that would be a travel because you can't jump off of one foot and land on the other. Okay? But if it's a step and then he moves over, did he ever put that pivot foot back down?
No. He's good to go.
He did not. So that is a legal play. Just because he went around his defender, nice move around and then kind of back around because there's another guy on him, that's a legal play. Okay, that's about as close to a Eurostep as you're going to see in the Federation. It's a layup that changes directions.
Nice
if I
move.
break it down simply. Comment?
Nice move by that kid.
No whistle on this play. What do you think? Legal or traveling? What do you guys think?
I think it's legal.
Legal.
It's hard to see from my position, but I think it's legal.
Yeah, not a great camera angle, but he's definitely holding the ball here. I mean, I know we can't see the through 24 there, but he's holding the ball, picking it up with his right foot on the floor. He steps to the other foot, his non-pivot, which is legal, and goes straight up.
Yeah, he's good.
That is legal. And the officials allowed it. So good for them. Now, Eurosteps, I'm going to play another one, but Eurosteps aren't that difficult in my opinion, because most Eurosteps that we see at the federation level are legal. It's just a layup. It's a layup where you change direction and not just straight to the bucket. Same game. And I got a foul. Now, did he travel or was it a legal play? There's his pivot foot. Do we agree?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like this kid, number 11, has affected his little Eurostep other direction layup. He's doing it pretty consistently, knowing that my defender's here. I'm going to jump this way and gets him a nice little open look to the bucket. We need to allow that to happen as long as that foot, pivot foot, doesn't come back down to the floor. Good.
That's where it's hard, because it looks sometimes in slow motion like he's dragging that back foot, and you can't watch everything.
So that's a good comment, and I'm glad you brought it up, because if you drag your foot, your pivot foot, that is considered a travel,
Yes.
right? We all agree?
Yes.
Okay. But keep this in mind. That is more for a player who is stationary. If I'm a moving player and I'm going up for a layup, specifically a player going up for a layup, and my back foot is following behind and I drag it, I'm letting that go every time, because I'm not trying to stop where I'm going. Usually the foot drag is because I'm stopping and, oh no, wait, I'm moving a little bit, right? But if I'm going forward for a layup and it just happens to drag on, I'm going to let that go every time. So don't focus so much on the back foot dragging on a Eurostep or on a layup, and focus more on, is the pivot coming up and coming down? Does that help?
Good point.
Yeah, but it's still the pivot foot that's dragging.
Right.
I don't want to nitpick it, because I wouldn't call it either. I was just making the observation.
Right. And that's what I'm saying is, you have enough guys who like to nitpick, or in my opinion, what I think they're doing is when you ask them, and I usually will in a halftime or a post game, hey, do you remember that play where the kid kind of did a Euro step and then, yeah, you called a travel? He's like, yeah, well, I thought he drug his foot. To me, that's more of a cop-out. I think that's an official looking for a way out. It's got to be, if he really drags it and he's using it kind of as an advantage, yeah, I'm going to get that. But if it's just kind of it moved along a little bit, it's a normal action to the bucket, I think it has no advantage or disadvantage to anybody. What's the intent of the rule? The intent of the foot dragging is you're supposed to keep your foot in that spot. You can pivot around. But if you move that foot, well, that's against the rules. But in a layup, you're picking it up and you're moving the foot. It's supposed to be in the air and you're moving it. And so you didn't do a great job picking it up. But the intent is you're stationary moving around, and now you've moved your pivot foot. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You could call it and you would, by rule, be correct, but it doesn't help the game. All right. I know you didn't bring it up for that reason, but all right, last Eurostep. No whistle again. Why is there no whistle? Because it's a legal play. Everybody sees it, right?
Yes.
Eurosteps look relatively easy now, don't they? If he goes here, here, and then steps back down with his other foot, then we got to travel. But just changing direction the one time is legal. All right, so Eurosteps are not a big deal. Jump stops are a little bit harder. Spin moves are probably the hardest, I think, because the action is so fast. The kid's feet are so good. You got to know where was the foot down when he caught the ball. We miss it a lot of times. I miss it too. I got lots of times where I sent it and my buddy's like, that's a travel. I'm like, I know, but in the game, like, it didn't, I passed on it. That's traveling. Let's find an ending video. I always like to find a good that's not traveling. Do you guys have any questions about traveling? Those specifically? And maybe I can find a travel that you want to see that's not a spin or a Euro. I want to play a continuous motion play because I wrote an article, for those that don't know, that got published in Referee Magazine on continuous motion. And unfortunately, it gets ruled on incorrectly a lot. Guys are calling stuff on the floor, which is a terrible thing to say, but they blow their whistle on the floor, which is not even a thing. But they're calling shooting fouls, continuous motion fouls, no shots. And we're really putting these kids at a disadvantage, which is funny because I feel like the dribbler and the shooter gets so much cushion. We favor them so much in lots of things, but when it comes to continuous motion, we totally shut them down. So let's see. I didn't pick this one out earlier. Let's see if I can find a good one. You guys see that play? The foul was off ball. Watch it again before we play it slow. The official counts the bucket. Is that correct?
Yeah, because he ran through the screen.
It all depends if the guy got the shot off before the whistle.
Here's the foul right here. Okay?
Yeah.
Push. Where's the ball?
It's in the guy's hands.
So would you agree that the foul happened before the ball left his hands?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, but what does the rule state? Do you know what the rule says on continuous motion?
He gathered the ball.
I'm going to simplify it. I'm not going to read what it is word for word, but if it's a foul by the defense, which it was, yes.
Yes.
You are allowed to continue your shooting motion. It does not say a foul against the shooter. It's a foul by the defense, which the foul happened by the defense. And would we say that number, is that 5 or 6, whatever the shooter is, is in the act of shooting right now?
Yes, he is.
He is allowed to continue his shot. And it goes in. That is a good bucket. Okay? Continuous motion is not just a foul that is on the shooter. It is a foul created by the defense. And if the offense is in the act of shooting another player, they are still allowed to continue.
So it's a typical 5-point, it's a probable 5-point play if they're in the bonus, correct?
So if it's in the bonus.
Yeah, or super bonus, and you get 2 shots for sure.
And you all may say, well, that doesn't seem fair. Well, then don't foul. Right? I mean, he's shooting the ball. Why would you say, no, sorry, your shot doesn't count? Then I'm going to push a kid every time. If I'm down 2 points and he goes up for 3, I'm just going to shove the kid next to me and say, fine, no, I got a foul here. That doesn't count. That's why the rule is there, because it's got to keep everything fair. You can't just be a brute. Does that make sense, everyone? Now,
yes.
How often are you going to see that? Probably hardly ever, if ever. But if it does happen to you, hopefully now you'll get it right. All right. You guys have any traveling you want to see that we didn't cover today or no? That's all I got for you. I mean, I got plenty more, but it's been an hour. Nobody commented on my new background for the new season. I mean, I put a lot of effort into this.
Looks European.
You got a nice little cord on there, Josh.
I thank you all for coming. I know it is July. We took the month of June off. Our YouTube channel has been kind of quiet. I've been doing lots of different things. I just haven't had time to put it in, but I am working on a new series. It's called Court Talk, and it's going to primarily go over mechanics. We're going to start with rotations, the first video, and then do some switches and some other 3-person stuff. I plan on doing some 2-person mechanics because I know lots of guys out there are trying to just learn 2-person. So we're going to focus a lot on mechanics, things that happen on the court that aren't rule related. So it's not a traveling or a block charge. So just keep an eye out for that. Let me know what you think when it comes out. Thanks for coming in. And like and subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, please do so. But more so, share the videos with somebody else because that's how we're going to get the word out. I'll see you guys next month.
Keep watching videos. That's what I do.
All right. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right. See ya. Take care,
Take care.
Josh.
All right.
All right.
Thanks,
see you guys.
Josh.
Appreciate it. Good job today.